Well, hey, how we doing?
Good.
You guys good?
Doing well.
Cool. Hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Cameron. We got Jordan and we got Tyler here. And we are just kicking off a brand new series, and it's called Psalms. All right, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be digging into a different psalm each week. If you don't know, a psalm is in the Bible. Yeah, it's in that thing. So it's a book of the Bible, right? You guys ever read it? You guys ever read
I'm in it right now.
You're in it right now?
Dude, me too.
Nice. First time caller?
Yes.
Long time listener?
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yes.
We should do live calls. Anyway, so I wanted to focus on Psalm 55. I was thinking through, there's so many. I mean, literally like over 100 Psalms that we could have chosen. And I'm thinking, man, there's a couple that have really have touched my heart like crazy. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I just get it. Like David is who wrote a lot of the Psalms, King David. He is like just an emotional dude. Like you can hear his passion and his heart, right? And so there's a lot of stuff that I connect with in Psalms, honestly. Just a little insight into my world. But I chose Psalm 55. Psalm 55 is this very interesting, kind of a description, really, at the root of it, it's just troubles. He's talking about his troubles, specifically in a situation where he was betrayed. And so there's kind of three questions that I want to ask throughout this, and I want to answer. The first question is, what do we do when we're facing troubles, right? And I get it right now. We're talking a lot about the Corona stuff, but gosh, I mean, before this we had troubles. After this, we're going to have troubles, right?
For sure.
It's a matter of time before troubles kind of strike again. So what do we do when we face them? The next one is, what types of troubles can we face? Because there's multitude of different types of troubles. We're going to get into that. And then what does God promise us through our troubles? So if we look in Psalm 55, you're going to find all three of these questions answered through this chapter. And so I just found it really interesting. The first part, what types of troubles do we face? Or I'm sorry, what do we do when we're facing troubles? The very first thing, we can choose to ignore our troubles. We can choose to kind of grit our teeth and push through them. And I'm big enough and I'm strong enough. It's easy at times to feel the pressure to be on and be amazing and be this star all the time.
For sure.
Especially because let's face it, you get to school, you go to work, you play sports. It's all about performance, right? It's all about how well you do. But when it comes to troubles and facing really challenging moments, honestly, guys, I just am finding that God is so much more gracious than I think we let on sometimes, And so we can grit our teeth and push through it and try to be awesome, or we can actually lean into God and trust Him with our troubles. Yeah, we'll get into a bit more of that later.
Notes.
Totally.
Sorry.
You could just write them on your palm. He doesn't have a pen. Okay. So the next question I wanted to answer was, what types of troubles do we face? In this particular chapter, we find him facing three different types of troubles. The first one is just everyday troubles, right? These are external troubles coming at us. Honestly, you could put something like the coronavirus in the middle of all of that, right? That's an external trouble coming to attack us. This could be stress from schoolwork. This could be stress because, college is on the horizon, or you're needing to get a job, or whatever. These are external troubles. Verses 3 and 11 is what I want to hit on for this. He says this, verse 3, "My enemies shout at me, making loud and wicked threats. They bring trouble on me and angrily hunt me down." It says they bring trouble on me, right? Then he says in verse 11, "Everything is falling apart. Threats and cheating are rampant in the streets," meaning external troubles all around us, right? The second type of troubles I want to look at are close, personal, and relational, right? He's talking about, at some point in this, if you go and read it, he's talking about a friend who's hurt his feelings, or virtually. He's harmed him and hurt him in a way. He's betrayed him. And God, friendship is tough, right? Sometimes the closest people to us hurt us the most.
For sure.
Right? And here we find, let me read it here. In verse 10, he says, "Its walls are patrolled day and night against invaders, but the real danger is wickedness within the city." So inside close quarters is where real danger is. Then in 12 through 14, he says, "It's not an enemy who taunts me. I could bear that. It's not my foes who so angrily insult me. I could have hidden from them. Instead, it's you, my equal, my companion and close friend. What good fellowship we once enjoyed as we walked together to the house of God." Y'all, gosh, here we have this guy who's so close to him, right? He doesn't specifically say who it is, But this guy who's so close to him hurts him so deep.
Yeah.
And then the other one is internal troubles. You know, sometimes troubles, they just start up in here, right? You ever wake up one of those days and you just got, your brain is just not a big fan of your life, you know? And your brain is like, today it will be hard and I will make it that way. You know, sometimes that's just life and how it goes. And sometimes the troubles are internal. Well, David even addresses that. He says in verse 2, please listen and answer me, for I am overwhelmed by my troubles. And verses 4 and 5, he says, my heart pounds in my chest. The terror of death assaults me. Fear and trembling overwhelm me, and I can't stop shaking.
Wow.
I mean, this dude's just laying it out as honest and open as he can. And I just feel like there's so much truth in those verses. A little snippet into my world. I had my appendix taken out a couple months ago.
No.
Yeah.
Did you keep it?
I wanted to. They wouldn't let me. Kind of bummed about that. I'm serious. I really wanted to keep it, but they were out of jars. So anyway, I had my appendix taken out, and it was funny because I went to the ER and I noticed something. I sat in the ER for like 2 hours just waiting, and my appendix is like inflamed, and I'm like, maybe it's gonna burst, maybe I'm gonna die here, I don't know. But I noticed that when people that came in with either head issues or heart issues, they like triaged them. They got them to a doctor immediately. And it really speaks volumes to this as well. Isn't it interesting how the closer to our heart the troubles are, the more it hurts?
Yeah.
Right? So the closer they are, relationships or friendships, or if it's just within our own mind at times, it hurts and it's hard. But just like these people in the hospital did, we have at times, we have to step back and kind of figure out, man, where's this coming from? What are the issues? And then what do we actually do with this?
Yeah.
And I just find it interesting, if we do that and we do well with that, we can actually overcome our troubles and hand them over to God. You know, the other question I had for us all was, you know, what are God's promises? Throughout the entirety of this book, or this chapter, you will see God promising over and over and over again. One of the key ones is the last verse, and he talks about, he says, David, he says, I will trust in you and you will save me.
Wow.
He's talking about his own relationship with God. He's simply saying, I don't have what it takes, God. Like, I don't have all the answers. And I mean, gosh, have you guys ever been there? You don't have the answers, you know?
Every day.
Yeah, every day. It's life. It's being human. No one has all the answers.
Yeah.
And David understood that, and he said something so valuable. He says, I will put my trust. It's as if he almost has it in his hand, and he goes, I get to choose where I put this. I can give it to you, I can give it to you, or I can hold on to it, or I can trust it into God's hands. He says, I will put my trust in you, and he says, you will save me.
Wow.
You know, as I'm thinking about the troubles that I personally face, you know, whether it be those internal ones with friendships and people around me, or if it's just life, you know, life troubles. If it's, you know, losing my appendix. Moment of silence for my appendix. Anyway, as I think about these troubles, right, as I face these things, it's so easy for me to want to just do it on my own.
Right.
Honestly, it's almost like my gut response is to like, I'm just gonna handle this on my own. But man, what does it actually look like to trust God with our troubles? You know, because I get it, it's easy to say trust God, but what does that even mean? So I want to close this down with a question. What does it mean to trust God with our troubles? What does it mean practically? I'm not talking about big picture, just for you and for me, like every day. What are we doing to trust God with our troubles? What does that even mean? And I would say this, I think it's a daily choice. It's a moment by moment choice.
Totally.
That we choose to surrender to Him, saying, I can't totally control the outcome, but I trust you anyway. I don't totally have control of the situation, but I trust you anyway. I don't know if I'm gonna get justice in this moment, but I trust you anyway. That is a really difficult place to be. Easy to say, but a lot harder to do.
For sure.
But I believe that is exactly what we do and what David talks about in Psalm 55 when it talks about wrestling with our troubles. So before we go, I want to pray for you guys. I want to pray for all of us because we're all facing them, right?
For sure.
So let me pray. God, thank you so much that you let us come to you so honestly, so raw with our troubles and our struggles and the things that try to bear down on our shoulders. But God, we want to come before you just like King David did. He was honest and real and raw. He didn't hold on to his troubles. He surrendered them to you every day. God, would you give us the vision? Would you give us the wisdom to surrender our troubles over to you? And would you guide us? Lord, would you protect us? Would you give us everything we need? In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Well, hey, thank you guys so much for joining us. Right now, we're going to jump into our Zoom calls. So middle school Zoom calls are happening right after this at 7. High school Zoom calls are happening right after that at 7:30. So make sure you get with your campus pastor, your campus director, and connect on your Zoom calls, all right? We'll see you guys there. Thanks so much.